All right, Strap, say these names.
So we have Masamichi. Hold on, drum roll. We have Masamichi Yakubi
Okay.
versus Angel Ayala. This was a round 12 knockout. What else could I say? This was for the IBF flyweight title. Uh, didn't watch a lick of this because this was in Japan, by the way, because different time zone. But just being the people that we are, we have to recap this and just share our thoughts. Have you guys seen Masamichi Yakubi? Yakuki? Yeah, no, so Yabuki. I'm saying it wrong.
Flyweight. Flyweight.
Oh
No.
man, these are smaller fighters right here.
Yeah, I'm not seeing fight. So this just came on our docket, and we had to talk about
What's
this.
the what is the thought process here? And I just came up with a wild concept here. Like these are small fighters that Japan is producing. So are these like gymnastic rejects that they said we're gonna you
That's
athletic
use.
enough, we're gonna find you somewhere to
Right.
you at the Olympic facility, we're gonna plug you into a sport.
Usually something they may have an academy where they develop these fighters, and these fighters have been doing it. Like you talk about the Inoues who are dominating this generation. Both the Inoue brothers. I mean, the other brother, he's winning still, but and you talk about Yabuki. I said it wrong the first time, but now I have it. Yabuki. Uh, he's won 16 of his 18 fights by KO. This is a very you don't see that with smaller fighters like winning by KO at that high. That's a
100,
high clip.
112 pounds.
That's a high clip. Like you've fought 18 times and you've knocked out everybody. Like that's crazy. Or you've not fought. You fought. You've won 18 fights and you've knocked out most people by 16 people.
Hey,
That's crazy. That's a crazy clip.
Gymnasts have to have some serious strength. Let's look at the background. I mean, if you on the rings and you on the what's it called, the pommel horse. Hey now,
Yeah,
hey now.
athletic
It's just
phenoms.
that's just
For
my
sure.
theory.
Nah, I'm looking at LT. The three of the belt holders, WBA, WBC, the IBF, are all from Japan.
You see what I'm saying?
Kenshiro Taraji and Masamichi Yabuki. So
Mm.
holding
Mm.
three of the belts in that weight class, 112-pound weight limit. So just to reference the flyweight division,
Yeah, that's
112 pounds.
that's amazing. Like a lot of those, like a decision type of fighters, like and you're just getting people out of here left and right. I mean, back in the day, they were having Filipino Manny Pacquiao go for an Olympic, dope test because how you that small getting, shown, you're getting Mosley out the way, you're getting all these people out the way. Like, what, people in America, we don't see that. Like people that size knocking out people like at a high clip like that. That's crazy.
Well, Kim G knows this. That power can be developed.
Yes, absolutely. So
And
the
sometimes
Japanese have a very good process as far as developing their fighters with some knockout potential. I think it all comes down to technique. You're obsessive about the way you're throwing your punches, how you're throwing them, when you're throwing them. You can create those opportunities and then knock out, especially on a pro level. We gotta have them because then you get these 118, 111 scorecards.
Take it out of the judge's hands.
Yeah, man.
How you feel? I feel like we're moving at a good pace right here.
oh yeah. I think
Crazy.
we moving quick. We're moving quick. Where we
There
at?
you go. Let's talk about this.
So we had Luis Alberto Lopez versus Eduardo Montoya for the featherweight bout. This was happening in I don't even want to say the wrong place because it's saying Mexicali, which is Baja, California. I don't know where that is, but anyways, let's get into the fight. This was a first round knockout win.
That's borderline Mexicali.
Borderline.
Literally like it. Literally like it sounds.
Baja, yeah,
Right on,
Mexicali.
right on border.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is.
Near
But,
Tijuana.
yeah, Tijuana. There you go. So Luis Alberto Lopez won by delivering a first round knockout against Eduardo Montoya, and that's all they wrote. They ended about at 2 minutes 31 seconds. So you can't write too much about it. Unless anyone wants to add about technicality at
What
all.
what class is this again?
This was featherweight.
Yeah, I mean
How?
another guy. He's another guy. Like remember the name. That's all I can say. Remember the name.
Luis Alberto.
Hey, he took it out of the judge's hands.
This sounds like when you talk about Mexicali, are these like are they definitely Mexicans or like I don't know what ethnicity are they from, like Colombia or
No, bro, it's Mexico, California. It's
okay.
literally the border. Like,
Okay.
so
Yeah,
like if you looking at a map, like it's not like California and then water.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's right there, right on the border. A lot of American fighters will go over there in that region and pick up.
They call it Baja California.
This is probably where
Devin Haney.
Exactly. Yeah.
Where you got his like yeah. Baja
So,
California. That's interesting. I've just learned that today, right now.
Geography, my friend.
Right. Moving right along.
So we have Jeremy Hill versus Malik Montgomery for the super. I don't think this had a belt to it, but this is super featherweight bout. This was also scored on unanimous decision with favor for Jeremy Hill. Fellas, do you have anything to write home about this?
No, but just when we about familiarizing ourselves with fighters, through the show, American fighter. Hey, someone that is on our list now from New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Nice.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So
salute Jeremy Hill. You probably will hear this and watch this. But one of the few fighting shows that will cover everything. So we're covering everything that happened throughout the week. Whether it's on TV, not on TV, we capturing everything and talking about it.
Hey, man, we the little guy.
We cover everything.
The future big guys. So we here while you down. We gonna stay down. As you go ascend to the top, we ascending to the top together. We trying to hitch to your wagon.
There you go.
Hey, but here's a good segue. As we move from Mexicali,
to Mexico City. So we are talking about UFC Fight Night that happened this weekend on Saturday. Amazing fact about this fight night: we had 5 Mexican fighters on this card. 6 Mexican fighters on this card, and 5 fighters actually won. Mexican fighters, that is. But let's start with the big dog, Brandon Moreno versus Steve Isig. This was one of those coming of age for Brandon Moreno. If you remember, like LT back in 2021, we talked about Brandon Moreno when he won his first championship belt for the flyweight division when he beat Charles Oliveira. Remember that?
Wow.
It was bad.
No, that was ages ago.
Yeah. Brandon Moreno was a champion, and he was known as, one of those guys, first ever pure Mexican or whatever they nomenclatured it, champion in the UFC, who came from, I think he comes from Guadalajara. I can't say that right.
Guadalajara.
But maybe comes from Mexico City. I may be messing it up, but he is the first Mexican-born UFC champion that was at that time when we announced him when he beat the Brazilian Charles Oliveira. Moving on from that, he lost his belt, went through his trials and tribulations. His history comes from Greco-Roman wrestling, so he never really had striking skills, but eventually he developed his striking skills. He started boxing, he said, in 2018. Imagine that. And he was developing his boxing as a professional UFC fighter. That is very scary because you're fighting people but he really trusted his ground and pound and all these other different techniques. But in this fight, he did a lot of great boxing. He feinted. He knew how to, you know, level change. He knew how to create a problem with another fighter who was very tricky in Steve Isig. Moving on, another Mexican fighter that won that day, Manuel Torres, beat Drew. I'll say his name, Dober. Yeah, Dober. He beat Drew Dober, and this was one of those fights that ended really quick on a TKO. Uh, Drew Dober was like hugging on my man Manuel's leg, and he was getting, you know, that side little punch thing that they do in the UFC or in the MMA. And when they separated them, Drew Dober was still standing, and they were like, "Bro, the fight is done, bro. It's done. It's done. It's done." Like, no, he's like, "Nah, I don't remember. He didn't knock me out." He's like, "Bro, it was so concussed that, you know, officials, people had to step in and kind of bring him up to par to what's happening inside the octagon." So salute to Manuel Torres and the win. I'll go direct to the next one. What do we have? What do we have? What do we have on that list of fights? Uh yes, David Martinez versus Simon Oliveira, or Simon Oliveira. Brazilians, correct me. Get in the chat. Correct me. This was also one of those quick knockouts. That Martinez guy looked so athletic. He blitzed. He was knee kicking. He was just all force attacking. Caught Simon Oliveira was being fancy, trying to do that, you know, that spinning round punch type of thing, you know, just being, you know, kind of swaggy, but he got caught with a blitz and got knocked out. And you know, the Mexican fighter was the one shining in front of his crowd and his people. And it always a good feeling, you know, seeing David Martinez get his hand held, and he did a backflip after knocking out someone. That's very disrespectful. How do you have the energy to do a backflip after knocking me out? You should be tired. You should be just wanting to sit down. But he did a backflip and he had energy. He was like, yo, I could, you know, it's like when somebody knocks you out in boxing and does like 30 push-ups, like, yo, this is easy, light work. And that was my coverage for UFC Fight Night that happened in Mexico City.